Dixon. I'm the Draw My Life Prison Wife. I'm the legally blind artist that is rapping and painting for justice, hoping to see justice before all face to black. Yes, it's your girl Cadillac. Anyways, got off of work not too long ago. Spilled hot chocolate all down my shirt, girl. All down my shirt. Up late. I'm tired. I wasn't even finna go live tonight, but I just watched this video, girl. And plus, we got to finish the video we were working on earlier, right? Before work. Because for me, injustice never sleeps. For the fight, so the fight for justice can never sleep, right? I'll be like that. Can we go on to bed, right? And justice won't go on to bed. So, all right. So let's set up the phone so that we can go ahead and complete what we were working on this morning. Hold on. We were doing the Jimmy Dennis case. So before I do that, before I get back to that case, and we review the, dang it, come on. Okay, before we review the rest of that video, like I said, that ain't me, making that noise. That's the little chair. But before we review the rest of that video, I wanted to just do a little bit about this video I just found. This is so cool. Okay, this is about the Virginia Innocence Project. Okay, that is in UVA. I think is University of Virginia something. I don't know what the A stands for, but it's the University of Virginia, and it's the Innocence Project clinic that they have at their school. And I just watched, the video is actually and an hour and then 57 seconds, right? So I'm almost to the end of it, which I think I might want to review the full video because there was a lot. I am so glad to hear lawyers talk about wrongful convictions. So this is different for me to hear this perspective, because the perspective I'm usually hearing, well, y'all hear me yapping all the time, right? And I don't know, when you fight for so long and you're unheard for so long and nobody believes you and everybody questions your judgment, like, yeah, right, are you sure? Like, it's almost like, I learn a lot about gaslighting and narcissistic relationships and stuff like that. And anybody that has kind of been in a narcissistic relationship, in turn, goes through a form of narcissistic abuse, right? And it becomes to where the person no longer trusts their own judgment, because the person has gaslit them so much that yeah, right, that didn't happen, and this and that. Like, so you don't trust you stop slowly trusting your own judgment, right? So this is really not about that, but it's like an illustration because I love to give metaphors, illustrations. I like to, the way I understand in my head is I have to kind of think of like a way to visualize something, right? So A person that no longer trusts their own judgment. That comes from being in these narcissistic relationships, which in turn is like narcissistic abuse. And your response to that abuse is to no longer trust yourself, right? Okay, so for me, I know Marcello's innocent. I know what happened. I know the lies that were told. Yes, this was a long time ago, way back in 2001. I know the person that Marcello is. I know the inconsistencies. I know the missing pieces. Nobody knows Marcello's case really more than me, which is sad because if I go to the grave, I basically take all of that with me to the grave, right? So I want to kind of get the ball rolling because if anything should happen to me, still want them to be free, you know what I mean? But you start thinking like, am I reaching? Could I be possibly wrong? Maybe it's not the way I'm explaining it. Maybe I look too deep into that. Maybe it's not that way. And you start questioning yourself because everyone else questions you. And I've done a good job holding fast to what I believe in, to what I know, to learn. I know me. You don't know me, but I know me. And I know that I'm a just person. And I know that I am an honest person. And well, you might know me in real life. If you do, I know you can attest. I am a very honest person. I am a very just person. I am a person that treats everybody the same. Like I don't treat one better than the other. I am a person that would give you the shirt off my goddamn back. You can't get me to do nothing wrong. You couldn't even pay me to do something wrong. Like, so I have a lot of integrity. A lot of people say I have a lot of patience, more patience than the next. Um, I have a lot of good qualities, and I know that I'm a good person. I know that I'm a good judgment of character. And it makes you start questioning if you are right. It's almost like it's been so long. Like, I don't know if anybody experiences this, but when something happens so long ago, you almost question yourself like, did that really happen or was it a imagination? It's something that was so old, like really old, is no longer to the forefront of your memory. Kind of like me and Marcello's relationship on the outside. I have to now be like, wow, were we really together with him free? Like, because it was so long ago. And then also like with money being a baby, I how can she have, you know what I'm saying? It's like at the back of your mind, like, she really was this small? Like, really, she was a baby? Like, how? It's so hard to believe because it was so long ago. And you're like, you start to question. I don't know if anybody else does that. Or like my grandmother passed so long ago. And it's hard for me to now kind of remember how it was when she was alive. You know, it's I vaguely remember her voice, you know, and I definitely don't want to lose my mama's voice, but now it's been 7 years since she's been alive, and it's hard to remember. Sometimes you're like, did that really happen? Said all that to say that you start questioning yourself because nobody backs you. Nobody I've gotten no traction. I've gotten very little, and it's only been through, I've gotten little traction for humongous amounts of work. So my payback for immense amounts of work has been that much, probably smaller. So because, all of the backlash and You're lying. This can't be so. There's no way. Makes you question yourself. Do wrongful convictions really happen? And I'm researching them now, and I'm bringing these stories to you guys so that you guys can see too. But it is so different hearing it from the perspective not of the person that is saying they're wrongfully convicted, not of the face that we've deemed to be no good for society, not from that face, not from my husband's face, who nobody cares about. You know, he doesn't even exist anymore in real life. It's almost like I'm the only one keeping him alive, honestly. Like, without me mentioning him every single day, he no longer exists, honestly, because prison is a whole underworld. It's a world that's, it doesn't collide with our world. These people no longer exist to us. So to hear lawyers say a lot of the same things that I have been telling you guys, wow, it is so refreshing. So I'm not going to go through the whole video, because I was on another video. So I gotta kind of make myself stay on track. If you leave it to me, girl, it'll be all over the place. I'll be doing this story. That's how I am. That is me, girl. And I told y'all that's that attention deficit stuff issues that I have, right? And I got to work on it. So we're going to stay on that topic with Jimmy Dennis. But before, I just want to play a portion of this video, girl. So it's the end of the video, right? So this is from the Innocent Project investigating wrongful convictions. And girl, if they're investigating wrongful convictions, does that not mean that people are wrongfully convicted, possibly? Does that not mean that our system has gotten it wrong, possibly? Really? Okay, let's listen to this and let me get back to working on this picture.
What do you think implicit bias has
I hope y'all can hear this.
in this wrongful conviction process?
Let me rewind it a little bit.
I think implicit bias is this whole situation here, right? So there's and
Implicit bias.
Look at the prisons and look at who's on death row and look at who's in prison and know that bias and racism had a lot to do with why the situation looks like it does right now.
That's crazy. Caucasian lady telling you that
we
too,
think we
right?
know a lot of things that we don't know.
But we
right?
say
So,
it doesn't happen. We say that people are no longer biased, right? We act like it don't happen no more. No, that was old. We don't do that no more. But implicit bias, I literally have never heard that term. And I'm glad I heard her say that. Well, I heard him ask that question. And the guy that is interviewing her is a police officer and a lawyer. So I am so glad to hear them use that term, because I have never in my life heard of it. Implicit bias. So before we have her tell us how much.
I love shopping the real.
Really? What is this? That is not what I was watching. So before I have her tell us about how much implicit bias plays, how much it plays in our justice system and wrongful convictions, I'm going to read the definition of implicit bias. Hold on, it's kind of dark right here, so let's cut on this ring light. Yeah, it's all bright in my eyes, girl. Girl, learn something every day. Learn something new every day. I love it. Never stop learning. Learning don't end because you're old. Okay. Implicit bias. What is implicit bias? Implicit bias is a form of bias that occurs automatically and unintentionally that nevertheless affects judgments, decisions, and behaviors. Research has shown implicit bias can pose a barrier to recruiting and retaining a diverse scientific workforce. So, bias not even just in workforce, um, housing, um, opportunities, imprisonment. It plays a part in a lot of different places. But let's get back to now that I gave you the I'm very tired, so I can't even talk. I'm falling over my words. But now that I gave you wow, hidden blind spots. There's books on implicit bias. Let's see. What is an example of an implicit bias? Under implicit bias, we are unaware that our bias, rather than objective facts, affect our decisions and judgments. For example, when most people hear the word kindergarten teacher, they are more likely to picture a female. That is true. I literally would. This can, without intention or awareness, they may even contradict openly held beliefs. Ooh, boy. What are three types of implicit bias? Among the various implicit bias prevalent throughout society are some such as race, ethnicity bias, age bias, gender bias, LGBTQIA plus community bias, and ability bias. Oh, yes, you sure do deal with bias when you have a disability. Girl, you have one disability, they swear you got all of them. Because I say I'm legally blind, they talk slow to me sometimes. Like, I ain't said I'm. Girl, they do. Oh, wow. Addressing implicit bias, how to identify your own online. So we all have these bias. What is another term for implicit bias? That's why it's important for a jury pool to be diversified. That way it can bring up. So someone might say something or make an assumption based on one of these implicit bias. How do you say, I don't even know how to phrase that right there, but on something that is implicitly biased. Maybe that's the way to say it. I don't know, but it sounded good, girl. um, Someone else can say, hey, but that's kind of being biased, isn't it? But if we all come from the same background, we see some of the same things, we come from the same neighborhoods, we ran together in circles, we may not be able to point out those biases. Ah, girl. What is the most common measure of implicit bias? Thus, we can only understand implicit bias through the use of psychological measures that get around the problem of self report. There are a number of measures of implicit bias. The most widely used is called the implicit association test. Oh, wow. You can try one here. Oh, measuring the implicit bias we may have. Okay, girl, I'm getting off topic. University of Florida. Wow, they did something here in Florida. Measuring the implicit biases we may not even be aware of. And I do think that, I don't think some jurors may be downright biased, in the other word, but some make assumptions not knowing that they're doing it. I could say an implicit bias, right? One time I was at my job at the super center and I had a freaking canvas under my arm and I used to carry a box of paint. And the guy asked me, "What are you doing?" I said, "I'm an artist and I paint on my break." He tells me, "You're an artist, but you don't look like an artist." And it occurs to me, what the heck does an artist look like, girl? I guess it don't look like me, even though I could draw, I could paint, but I don't look like an artist, so there's no way I could be an artist, right? uh, right? That's crazy. I was really offended. And then he asked me to paint something for him. He gave me money behind it, so we was all right after that. And it opened his eyes. Like, girl, but I'm the legally blind person. Two UF psychology professors examined the prejudices and stereotypes that contribute to social inequality and discussed the tests social science apply to measure the implicit bias people tend to harbor. Ooh, girl, this is gonna be a good video. But I can't do this right now. I'm sorry, we gotta stay on track, girl. So let's listen to speakers Timothy J. Longo Sr. and Deirdre. Okay, hold on. Deirdre, I hope I'm saying your name right. Beautiful woman, doing some good work. Deirdre M. Enright. Enright, yes. Okay, so let's listen to her as she says. He asks her how much do you think implicit bias plays in wrongful convictions? Right, let's go.
Work for another staff lawyer?
Oh, I think we could have 10 staff lawyers. I mean, there's just innocent people getting to the tip of that pyramid, not because they're not innocent, but because.
Hold on, where were we left off?
What role do you
There it
think
is.
implicit bias has in this wrongful conviction process?
I think implicit bias is this whole situation here, right? So there's and you know, you can just look at the prisons and look at who's on death row and look at who's in prison and know that, you know, bias and racism had a lot to do with why
She
the
said
situation
it.
looks like it does right now. And
Mm.
we think we know a lot of things that we don't know, right? So one of the things that is the hardest to teach is to say to people, all we can do is look at the evidence. That's all we can do. You can't. No, I don't want to hear about anybody's gut instinct. I don't want to know what you like, that you love it.
If they were just looking at evidence and evidence alone in Marcello's case, Marcello Jackson would not be wrongfully in prison because there is no evidence. They didn't even, they knew they can throw this young man away without even producing evidence. So they didn't even attempt. The prosecutor didn't even do anything. Didn't even prepare. Didn't do nothing because she knew that people felt so little about a black man, a black young man, people wouldn't think twice, bat an eye, drop a tear about. Just threw him away. Didn't even, oh gosh. Wow.
death and he's the greatest guy in the world. Like, put all of that aside and look only at the evidence. And when you
Only the evidence. That's all that should matter. Not this manufactured circumstantial evidence. The only time you're supposed to rely on that circumstantial evidence is when there is no evidence at all, no way to obtain evidence, and no other way to solve the case. That's when circumstantial evidence comes to play. And it's supposed to be harder to convict somebody on circumstantial evidence than actual hard evidence, but it ain't. It seems like any fabricated story can be put out there, and if the jury believe it, then okay. That's just like some believe in ghosts, some believe in aliens. If you believe it, you believe it. If you don't, then wow.
do that, it's really hard. So when you find yourself looking at somebody in court, right? We go to court and you see four people in jumpsuits, right, talking to the judge about. It's like everyone is thinking the same thing, right? We're all thinking. We think that is those are probably guilty people. We think that they're going to get.
Did you hear what she said? If you're already, and this is what I said. Did I not say almost every? Now, of course, she said it more in a more educated manner because she studied this. But these are all the things I've said. Just stepping into the court, they already assume you're innocent. I just said that this morning reviewing Dennis's case. I just said that. That when I was saying how he was saying that his juror, the head juror, what is the name right now? I'm real sleepy, so I can't think of the foreman was going to sleep, going to bed. And I said most likely because he already came in saying, yeah, this guy is guilty. So, but that's bias. You don't know if that guy's guilty. Where you know that guy from? Probably ain't never seen him a day in your life. How would you know? Newsflash, not all black people are the same. Newsflash, not all white people are the same. Newsflash, not all Spanish people are the same. Newsflash, not all Asians are the same. So, newsflash, not anybody is the same. We're all individuals.
Trial, which 98% of people plead out, right? So
Thank you. 98%. That's why they try to get you to plead. But once you're taking a plea, you're admitting to guilt. But what's the better option? I mean, what else you gonna do? And now listen to the rest of what she says. So 98% of people that are accused and brought up on criminal charges take a plea. 98%. That means 2% go to trial. So I'm going to say a lot of those pleas could be wrongfully convicted people, but they've admitted to doing something they didn't do. So now they don't consider them wrongfully convicted because you confess to this. But you have no other fighting chance, really. You have a much slimmer chance if you take it to trial. If you accused in the crime, you better take the plea. You ain't got no money, you better take the plea. Ain't got a good lawyer, you better take the plea. Hey, take that from me. Take it to trial. This and yup, shit's creep. Yes. I mean, no, that ain't legal advice. Just a song that I wrote, but me and my husband actually lived through this. And he's like, dang, I should have just took the plea. Innocent or guilty, I still did this time.
Our trials don't really happen very often, and it's funny because
So trials don't happen very often. So when they do, baby, they will spare no stop when they do happen.
tell people about whether they should go to court or not or have a trial, we say to them, we use the words, you can roll the dice.
A lawyer telling you that. Now, this is our fair, just system. A trial before a jury of your peers. This is our right to that. And you're telling me that enacting my right to a fair trial before a jury of my peers is rolling the dice. And it's coming not from me, it's coming from a lawyer, a seasoned lawyer that has numerous cases of wrongful conviction. Now, y'all can't even believe that my one little husband is wrongfully convicted. So, what about all those numerous ones and all the people that she said they queue line is so full? There's not enough manpower. Just like the Innocence Project here in Florida told us basically, do not contact us. We don't have resources like that. They can't even take all the cases that are being submitted to them. But you don't believe wrongful convictions are happening? Wow.
That's what we call our criminal justice system is like
They call their criminal. So this is a lawyer telling you that they themselves would. Can you imagine a doctor saying that? Roll the dice if you want to. Can you imagine your doctor saying that? Girl, you can roll the dice if you want to and take this procedure. Could you imagine that? The own professional in that industry says that they refer to it as rolling the dice, enacting your own rights. Wow. And it's so fair. It's so fair, y'all say. Y'all say. Y'all say it's fair. Oh, if he was found guilty by 12 jurors, there's no way. Yeah, right, girl.
you can go to trial and roll the dice because everybody really knows that it's not, it doesn't work and it's not fair. And that prosecutors have more power than defense attorneys, and prosecutors have more money and resources.
Thank you. Prosecutors have more money or resources than the defense.
Defense attorneys um, and
It's built on money. Been saying that from the beginning. That means people, wealthy people, are getting a better shot at being freed, whether guilty or innocent, than whether guilty or innocent poor people. Have I not been telling you guys that it's about money? It's about resources.
and people believe eyewitnesses even though we know that eyewitnesses are terrible. And
The eyewitness, they claim that's better than anything else. That's better than actual evidence. And so many times, many of these wrongful convictions, if it is not for prosecutor, girl, can't say that. Go on to bed. prosecutorial misconduct, one of the second highest reasons of wrongful conviction is misidentification from the eyewitness. Eyewitness misidentification.
So I look at it as, implicit bias colors everything that we all do and say, and we just have to keep calling each other out on it in order to get this to be infused into a system that actually works. Because I don't look at the system and think it's broken. I used to. Now I just think it's atrophied. That we say a lot of things that we don't actually do, and if we wanted to do it right, we could do it right. If we wanted to give the money and resources to the clinic, to the criminal justice system, we could do that. We could have much better lawyers in there if we wanted to pay them, right? So I think there's ways to.
Or if we cared or thought that it affected us. I think more than if we cared, because it's known that anything that does not directly affect us, we don't care about. So then to go further, if we realize how much it really does affect us, we would care. Or how much it could affect us, we would care. Picture this. You're married to your husband. Y'all just bought a house. You just had a baby. Married maybe 5 years, 10 years. You own this house. Y'all got a couple cars. Y'all got a business together. You're living life and you're happy. Your husband comes home one day, or you guys are at home, and Mr. Johnson, they come in. It's the police. They come in and they're taking Mr. Johnson and they putting his arms behind his back and they're arresting him. And you're like, what the heck going on? What's going on? Like, you're bamboozled and just taken aback because you don't understand what the heck is going on. And you realize that somebody misidentified your husband. He literally just left work. He texted you before he was on his way home. Babe, I'm on my way home. Got that chicken ready for me, girl? Girl, you got to hear. Girl. So y'all ready to, he done kissed your child good night. And now y'all finna, and he's arrested. And he's identified. And you're like, well, first, I know this is a mistake, like crazy. He was at work. Like, there's no way this is going to work out. This is going to play out the way it should. We know he's innocent. So all we have to do is just go through the motions with this. And he's going to be found. He's going to be back home with us. You go through trial. You pay a good lawyer. You believe in our system. You know this system works because you're a good person. Your husband's a good person. And you know that you too are tax-paying, law-abiding citizens. The judge hits that desk. Guilty. Jury turns in guilty in the highest. And you're like, wait a minute, what? Huh? What just happened? How am I here? Where's the evidence? They literally had no evidence. How did I get here? You're in a cold cell eating food that they say is not for human consumption. You're being neglected, sometimes abused at the hand of staff. Your daughter's asking, "Where's my daddy?" Son, dad was supposed to go to his soccer game next week. He's not here. Now what do you do? Do you still just move on? How much do you have invested in your marriage? Maybe you've been together 20 years and this happens. Do you just move on? Like, it's like people literally don't believe it could be them. See, people stand up high and look down low on me. Like, crazy girl, move on with your life. He most likely did it. Not knowing you literally could be in my shoes. You just don't realize it. You could be me. You literally could be me. And if you realize that part and how broken the system really is, you would want to fix it now before that happens, before that random thing happens. And it's not so random from what she's saying, because she gave the statistics on how many wrongful convictions. She said it's anywhere between 2 to 10% of convictions wrongful. And she said, really, if we knew the true stats, most likely we would be mind boggled, whatever that, about how many wrongful convictions we actually do have. I wouldn't be looking down so far on me if I were you. I would actually take the time to listen. I literally would. I literally would. I'm in many support groups, some for a lot of them for prison wives. But I had to leave a lot of those support groups and for wrongful convicted. And I don't just go to those groups. I no longer am in those groups because I'm kind of, I don't know, I got to work on my husband's case. Ain't nobody going to get him home but most likely me, right? And I got to do it before I leave this earth. So in the meanwhile, I'm not just there yapping about Marcello. I'm there listening to others' cases. I'm there reading their change petitions, seeing how, they're going through it. Like, oh my gosh, I literally understand what you're going through. Looking at pictures they may post, or like, it's not just walking in your own shoes, it's looking at it from somebody else's perspective and how you literally are one step away from being in that person's shoes, girl. But I'm completely not covering the Jimmy Dennis story. Sorry, girl, off topic. But yeah, system is effed up. And that's the thing. Nobody wants to change it. We just like having an effed up system. We like getting it right or getting it wrong every 2 out of 10 times. But what if it's you that they got it wrong on?
It's just going to take resolve. That this is one of the justice system is one of the ways we are the worst racists ever, right? And it's correctable. It's all correctable.
They just don't
It's not a
want
matter
to.
of reformation, it's a matter of restoration.
Right.
Right. The principles upon which the system is built are valuable.
Thank you. I've said that too. The system itself was set up good, but they do not go by it. They cut too many corners. They hide stuff, they take out stuff, they manipulate stuff. If they went by the way it was set up, there would literally only be the wrongful convictions that are solely on human error.
But somewhere along the way, over time, those principles have become lessened by
Yep.
all the things that we've talked about. So it's not a matter of reformation; it's a matter of restoration.
Right. And we can do it. Like, we have to actually believe in the things we say, right?
And you have to look at it. You can't fix something you're refusing to look at. You can't address something you don't want to see.
To really put teeth to that.
You've listed a bunch of people that you've given me a list. These are the people I've helped. These are the cases that have come in the door, and we were able to help these people. How did you prioritize those cases? Is it just a matter of
All right, so they're on another topic, but this stuff got me heated. I hate this. I hate that this is our world. And it's not stopping because not enough care about it. So it's some of our babies that we're birthing now. A percentage of them will be just ending up in prison and on the roll for stuff they didn't do. And it's sad. It's literally sad. And we don't want to do nothing about it. We don't want to fix the issues. Because, number one, we don't believe it's happening. That's what they say in narcissistic, like a narcissist cannot change. And the biggest reason why a narcissist cannot change is because they will deny that they have a problem. You can't change a problem that you are never willing to admit you have. And I would liken that to these wrongful convictions in our injustice system. You can't fix what you do not want to look at. You don't want to admit that there is a problem. So you will not be able to fix it. Okay, so let's finish up the story we were watching, listening to earlier, the wrongful conviction of Jimmy Dennis. He was sentenced on D row to D row, and 2 times he came up for his day to be outed, and it didn't. He was spared.
This is how you order all of this. First, Domino's.com. Choose your.
If I knew anybody or I thought anybody was true to their convictions, I would write them a letter if I got a legitimate address on them. That's how I was able to get some of my.
Here's
It feels like a gun is literally being held to your head every day when you're on death row. And it is a day to day. Right. From the moment I stepped foot in prison, and survival, improving my innocence was all I had on my mind. When I initially meet my youngest daughter, I meet her in prison. I just brought this incredible little being into the world, right? That I want to protect, and I can't. I can't protect my oldest daughter. I was a wreck.
You had 2 execution dates set.
Yes.
What exactly is an execution warrant?
It's a piece of paper, and they give you a copy of it saying that you're going to die on this day. And unless you get a stay of execution from a judge, you're dead. They're going to take you, strap you down to a gurney, and pump sodium pentothal into your veins.
And in your case, they went so far as to ask you the questions. What do you want your last meal to be?
What
Like,
I wanted my last meal to be, and where I wanted my body shipped, and who were the two people that I wanted them to call once they killed me. So imagine you actually knowing when you're going to die. It's very horrifying.
And y'all literally don't want to fix this system. Like, honestly, you don't want to fix this system. You want to continue to blindly think it's working, right? Wow.
From the moment I stepped foot in prison, I started writing organizations, activists all over the country trying to get help. I would put 50 letters within a 24-hour period in the door. There was a little crest in the door, or the guard would have to open up the slot door where they put the food trays in to get the mail, because I would be writing so many letters to anybody that would listen. And it'd be a sheet, and it'd break down all the facts of the case, who to contact to get involved and to help free me. That's what I did for 25.5 years up until my release. I must have wrote over 50,000 or more letters. Easy. I went on the website. I don't even think it exists no more, called Cyberspace Inmates. And
A site called cyberspace. I'm sure it don't exist. That's probably that early 2000 cyber. Anything with cyber in it, girl.
prisoners was up there for pen pals. I ain't do none of that. I went up there and said, I'm innocent. I need help. And the first two people to write me was Tracy and Dave Lamourie from Canada. They started the Canadian Coalition Against the Death Penalty because of me. If I knew anybody or I thought anybody was true to their convictions, I would write them a letter if I got a legitimate address on them. That's how
It's funny. I've been to almost everybody you could think of, from people at my church. My church didn't support me at all in that. To people that I went to school with, to organizations, to justice organizations, to dang anywhere. Like literally, all I've done for all these years is just research and find out who I can reach out to and who might care and who I could tell this story to that might. And I haven't found nobody. I mean, I found some people that, you know, that listen and it seems like they believe me, but I mean, they don't, either they don't have the resources to help me, or I just can't get traction. I don't know. I don't know why I can't get traction, but I can't. I've literally tried.
it, some of my supporters that are notable, like Susan Sarandon, they came by way of me writing my supporters, and them getting the address. And I literally turned the cell I was in to a library. The lawyers sent me books, legal books. I started studying the law. I had to. It's the only reason I'm sitting here right now talking to you.
Literally, that part, sir. Because lawyers are so unattainable, because I mean, literally, you ain't got, the average person ain't got enough for no lawyer. Like, lawyers are very expensive. And it seems like it shouldn't be like that. It should not be a price on your rights or your life like that. But it literally is. You don't talk to a lot of lawyers that aren't telling you and quoting you a large amount of money. Like, and there's some that will say, yeah, it sounds like, but I mean, you got to come up with such and such and such. Like, nobody is like, oh my gosh, like we literally have to do the right thing. It's not about that. It literally is not about that. And I think I would think that a lot of lawyers got into criminal law so that they can help people. I would think a defense attorney, like so that they can help others. But possibly the reason they became defense lawyers is because they know that a person sitting before a court about to lose their freedom will pay any amount to keep their freedom. So is that the reason they become, you know, criminal lawyers? Like it seems like nobody has the heart like that. Well, this woman does. The woman I just showed you, and people that take on cases like his. Why, if he's innocent, why does he or his family have to come up with thousands? You know they ain't got that. Well, a good majority of the, and I even told y'all that too. The statistics of wrongfully convicted being mostly young black males. Why? Why? Because those are the least that you would care about. You would care if they were taking young white males. You would care if they were taking young white girls, if they were just wrongfully convicting wrong white girls. You would care. You literally would. That's one of those implicit biases. Blah 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 blah. It's like even when black females go missing, they literally almost want to blame the black female for being missing. They don't. But he literally would have to come up with thousands and thousands and thousands of dollars, he or his family, to save him from being in prison. And if he ain't got it, which he didn't have it, Marcello didn't have it, a majority of these wrongfully convicted young black males ain't got it. So you're paying for freedom. Freedom has a cost.
A friend sent me a book, A Man's Search for Meaning, by Dr. Viktor E. Frankl. And Dr. Viktor E. Frankl was fond to quote Nietzsche. And there was this quote in that book that I took and I applied to myself. And the quote was, "He who has a why can bear with almost any how." My why was my dad, my mom, and my daughters.
My why, my reason why I continue to, without any success, continue on. So I just want my family back together. I literally want my family that was stolen from me, from our daughter, and from Marcello. I want us back together. Physically, not behind bars or between bars or between thick glasses or between distance, long distance, 7-hour drives or between expensive phone calls. I want our family together in a unit, in one household. That's my why. I want my husband back.
One of the worst experiences I ever had in prison is when my dad died. I was sitting in the cell and I was working on the Justice for Jimmy campaign. Guard came up to the cell door. He said, "Your dad died," and just walked away. How do you process something like that? Anybody that know me know that me and my dad was tight. So I missed 25.5 years with my dad, and then he died. I missed
They stole it from him.
my youngest daughter being born. I missed the first.
Oh yeah. So when I review that video that I was telling y'all about, um, from the University of Virginia, they literally had a victim statement, and they literally describe how the victim reacts when they have to tell her that they had the wrong guy arrested for the crime against her. Years later. Whoa. Just like I tell you, if you look at it from that perspective, that don't look at it as though, this young black man, that's all they do anyway, so most likely he's guilty. Looking at it from that perspective, you don't care. But look at it from the perspective that this victim does not have justice because the person that perpetrated against them is not in prison, they're free. Look at it as there are guilty people walking free amongst us. Look at it that way rather than looking at it in the unbelievable way that there are innocent people in prison. So, no, for every innocent person in prison, there's a guilty person out walking amongst us in society that got away with all types of. This was a D-roll case. So that person got away with murking somebody. Know that. Remember that. Embed it. Digest it. Keep it. Write it down. Keep a memo. Tattoo it on you. For every wrongfully. So she just gave the statistic. And then the statistic in this video was that approximately, what was it, 10,000 people a year are wrongfully convicted. Whoo! That means about 10,000 people are guilty out on the street. Wow. 10,000 people a year that commit heinous crimes walk free. Do you care now? They got away with that crime. How many more will they get away with? How many more? Because we're okay with the wrongfully convicted person being in prison because at least somebody's locked up.
My oldest daughter went to kindergarten. I miss taking them to amusement park or
Oh, I like how he
or
said that.
taking them shopping,
Kindergarten.
things like that. Is that fair that I miss all of that?
Nope.
It's unfair.
It's
It's
unfair.
wrong.
Yep.
In every sense of the word.
Marcello missed everything, and nobody care when I say that, but it affected us. You probably don't care because your husband was probably there for all that. But he missed Money's first words, which was Dada, her first step, her kindergarten graduation. I was there, but her daddy wasn't there. Missed her middle school, her daddy daughter dance. That's that book we were working on. I was working on the illustration. She was working on writing her feelings of just wanting to go to the daddy daughter dance with her father, but her father's incarcerated. No way in jail he can be there with her. He missed high school graduation, which we planned out all of that before Money was even born. We used to take long walks around the block. And when we had the notion that, I was pregnant and that we were going to have a daughter, we just sat and made plans like any other, you know, any other parent, new parent does that. Like, that's what you do. You plan your child, like you think, like even with Princess is my granddaughter. I'm like, oh, what is she gonna do when she grows up and this and that, and we're planning her like loosely. I mean, it's just something that parents do and stuff. You don't plan that, hey, I'm not gonna be here for that, I'm gonna miss all of those occasions, and prom, her first date. Missed everything. High school graduation, none but an empty seat next to me. I'm there by myself. Every occasion I had to by myself. And last Sunday, Marcello missed Money's college graduation. All fair, right? Because he shouldn't have did what he did. I'm still trying to figure out what he did. Dang. That's why I honestly wish this was not our battle in life. Almost any other battle, somebody else would care and get behind you. But in a battle like this, don't nobody care. Don't nobody care. You on your own. I'm on my own.
Get that time back.
Can't. Can't get that time back. I started trying to do that, trying to mute it when it goes through these ads since I can't cut them out.
I got a phone call from the lawyers, the counselor, and the unit manager came to the door and said, you gotta call your lawyers. Amy Rowe is like a sister to me. She's my lawyer, but I call her sister.
Wow.
And Ryan Giles is like a brother to me. I call him brother. And I get him on the phone, and they pronounce my entire name, James A. Dennis. They never do that. So they say, James A. Dennis. The truth has come out. The truth has come out. And they just kept saying it over and over. She believes in you. She knows the truth. She believes in you. And you still don't get the magnitude of it, right? I didn't. When they did come up to the prison and I read the legal opinion, they put it up against the glass right away so I could see it. And the first sentence said, James A. Dennis was wrongly convicted for a crime. In all probability, he did not commit. That meant more to me than anything in the world. That started the ball rolling.
It's what makes you eventually convince yourself that you're crazy. You literally eventually convince yourself you're crazy. And that's what releases you from that wrongful conviction of, I must be crazy. I even have one story, I don't remember what story it was, but I watched a video and he was like, he literally started thinking he was the monster that everyone else thought he was. It was so hard to even see himself as innocent because nobody else seen him as innocent. It's hard to see myself as
of me getting out.
Where it gets really weird, and this is not, unfortunately, not unique to your case.
Right, no.
But is that after your conviction was overturned by Judge Brody, right?
Right.
You remained in prison for several years.
Yes. So I remained in jail for over 3.5 years.
So let me know, can we fill a prison bed with your loved one? We got a bed. It's an opening. Can we put your son in that bed? Are you okay with that? You okay with your grandfather being in that bed? It's open. We need somebody to be there. So, I mean, you know, they shouldn't have did what they did. Are you okay with that? You. What about you yourself? We got an open bed and we need to fill it. Are you okay with being in that bed?
Any words you want to say before we leave?
I literally blocked that day. Look at that smile though, but I blocked that out for me and Marcello. I just said, I guess it ain't for us. Because the more that day avoids you, the more you never see that day coming, the more you just, I don't know.
That is fantastic. All right, get in the car, let's go. Today is a okay day.
Today is an okay day.
And we had this moment, you know what I mean?
This,
That we had been talking about having for 17 years. And then you get in the van. They started playing Philadelphia Freedom by Elton John, which was kind of cool. And then it, Patti LaBelle, Boys and Men, Meek Mills, and you know what I mean? You gotta have the sound of Philadelphia. You know what I mean? So I can feel like I'm home. First thing I ate was some French fries with some onions and ketchup on it and a vanilla milkshake. I had some David sunflower seeds. Don't ask me why, because I can't tell you, right? It's just what I had. You can see that there's this moment with me and my mom where we just sitting there and we just holding hands. And it's surreal, like, but it's still like an out-of-body experience. When I hug my daughters,
dang,
it was still like an out-of-body experience, like the moment with me and my mom, we just sitting there and we just holding hands.
Oh my gosh.
And it's surreal, like, but it's still like an out-of-body experience when I.
If Marcello was ever beyond those gates, I understand what he's saying. It would be surreal. Though it's what I fought for decades of my life. My humble life. I literally can't even imagine it no more. And if it were real, it would have to be a dream. I've seen it happen for so many around me, but it's never happened to our family. So it would literally be almost impossible to fathom. I literally would possibly wake up every day like, is this really true? Is he really here with me? Is he really sitting next to money in the free world? Is the guard gonna come any moment and tell us 10 minutes before visitation's over?
My daughters, it was still like an out-of-body experience. Like, this is something that you dreamed about and you waited for 25.5 years to happen. And now that it's happening, it doesn't feel real. And you're still waiting for somebody to pinch you and wake you up.
Thank you.
And then you be back in prison. I went through that for a long time after I got home. Like, am I going to wake up and this is going to be a dream?
Lays are made from real potatoes from over 100 farms across.
And I'm glad he said that, because It's no longer just the excuse that, oh, that's because you're just being negative. No, it literally, you start losing all hope. Honestly, I don't even know what the heck I'm holding on to. I literally don't. I don't even know how I have hope in this situation. I don't know how Marcello still has hope in this situation. But every day I still bring you videos. I'm still hashtagging free Marcello. I'm still posting on unsupportive a Facebook of my real family who don't care. Marcello's real family who don't care. Ain't missed the beat since he been gone. They don't care he gone. He was replaceable. Wasn't nobody special to take away. Alright guys, I don't know. I don't know if I'm ever gonna finish this picture, girl. But here it go. Let me back it up a little bit. Alright guys. The legally blind artist that is rapping and painting for justice. I am hoping to see justice before it all fades to black. It's your girl Cadillac.